So the biggest question in Blue Jays land, is there a chance in hell that this team can make a comeback?
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Dal's with us today. We'll get into all that right away, but I'm going to tee you guys up sort of what we're talking about. This sucks. I don't like coming on here and having to be negative or having to pray to the baseball gods that the Toronto Blue Jays can figure it out. But that's where we're at. So we're going to talk lineup changes. Will there be moves made? Bullpen. Who can you trust right now? The managerial decision. Me and Carter have given our spin zone on it. We've heard from a lot of you guys in the comments section. We'll get Dal's thoughts on that. Trey Savage. Because apparently you can't take a step outside without getting death threats as a MLB pitcher. Unbelievable. And we'll tee up Game 3 as well. As always, I'm Brayden Wasco. He's Carter First, Dallon Wilton. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden 5 Wasco, Carter First 2, Dallon Wilton, and on our main Twitter account, Locked On Jays as well, on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. You guys have been knocking it out of the park. The views, the comments, the subscriptions, you guys have been killing it. The Mariners fans that are watching this, we know you're here. We've seen the comments. It's not been fun, but I did see a couple comments like, hey, you guys aren't playing good baseball right now, but at least we can all come together and hate the Yankees. And that is 100% true. Till the day I die, I will hate the Yankees. Boys, a lot to get into today. Dal, you weren't here last episode. Thoughts, feelings, where were you at after 2 days ago games, I guess?
It's a bit depressing. I'm not going to lie. It sucks watching this team struggle like this on a big stage. I'm a diehard fan, so all I want them to do is win. And, just seeing the effort they put out there and the decisions that have been made, it sucks. It really does. And I'm just hoping they can bounce back.
Yeah, it's really a full team effort that has gone into them losing the first two games. It's been the pitching. It's been the offense. You can blame the manager. You can really blame everybody that has been involved with the Toronto Blue Jays decision-making over these last two games. But one thing that we've seen circulating a lot online, and with the recent lack of offense that we have seen from this Toronto Blue Jays lineup throughout the first two games, there's been the discussion of whether there should be a change within the lineup, whether there should be some shuffling around. Maybe you put in some guys that aren't necessarily starting. Maybe you take Addison Barger, you move David Schneider, you get crazy, you move George Springer. So we're going to talk about that all today. And I guess I'll throw it over to you, Dallon, because we've talked a lot about this, obviously, on the podcast. Not as much recently, because we've kind of been tried and true with our formula, because it hasn't really gone wrong in the Yankee series. But now we're starting to see that, hey, maybe this is a time that they could switch something up. So if you're John Schneider rolling into Game 3, are you changing up anything in this batting order?
It's tough to say because we've seen this batting order do well, like the way they've been placed, but you're down 0-2 in the series. You got to shake something up. I mean, watching the game last night, it was fly out after fly out, also not hitting or getting guys in. So if I'm John Schneider, you have to change something. I mean, Addison Barger does not look good or comfortable in the 4 spot for me. But it just comes down to, like, how bad do these guys want it? They've proved that they can hit in these spots, but they're just not doing it on this big of a stage. And like I said before, it's depressing to watch.
Dal, I came up with sort of the same answer in my head. It's not about necessarily who you play where. I mean, I'll get into the changes that I would like to see. Don't get me wrong, because I'm a little bit of an armchair manager. But in the same sentence, in the same breath, how much do you want it? They were playing the Yankees, and they looked like they would go and kill villages to beat the Yankees. Like they would do mass murders to just have the opportunity to beat the Yankees. And now the heart, the feel, the grit, the soul of this team doesn't seem like it's there from series to series. To me, that is the most frustrating part, is you see how much effort and care this team can give, but it really doesn't feel like that right now. Guys are defeated. Guys are hanging their heads in the dugout. So I don't know. Where I want to see is, I think you got to do something. Dal, you said it. It's like hockey, right? If something's not working, change up the lines, right? put the lines in a blender and see what happens. That's sort of where I'm at. And I'm not saying completely throw it against the wall and, change everything, but there's got to be something done. You have to spark a little bit of energy, life into this team. For me, you move Addison Barger out of there. And I know what the stats are. Carter went over them about Daulton Varsho, where he hits and where he hits the best. Throw it out the window. Daulton Varsho, lefty bat. He can be there. He can hit the ball. He can hammer the ball. He hits for power. That's what you wanted of a 4-hole hitter. Put him there and pray to God that he can do something. Because at this point, you leave Addison Barger there and you leave Daulton Varsho where he is, and it doesn't work out again. Well, then they're like, why didn't you make a change? At least this way, they go in, they throw Daulton Varsho into the 4-hole, and at least it saves John Schneider's skin a little bit so that he's not hearing about, oh, well, you could have done something. Well, this would be doing something, making a change, putting that spark back in. I don't know, Carter, what do you think about that?
It's a tough decision because you talk about moving Addison Barger down, but has Daulton Varsho necessarily proved himself? And are you confident throwing him in the 4th spot? It seems like we're kind of just changing stuff up.
Not confident in anybody.
Yeah, you're throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks at this point. But I kind of agree with you guys. It clearly hasn't worked throughout the first 2 games. And are you going to run that back for game 3? And at that point, for me, if you lose game 3, it's over. You might as well throw in the towel. You're not winning 4 straight games, 2 more in Seattle and 2 more at the Rogers Center. Simply just not going to happen. But with this lineup, there's not a lot you can really do because this offense in totality hasn't been very good. So for me, the first 3, I don't think you can switch anything up. It has to be George Springer. It has to be Nathan Lucas. That's been the guy, this series so far, been one of the only guys that seem like they've cared at the plate. And then Vladimir Guerrero Jr., as bad as it's been, I don't think you can move him from that 3 spot. So it is the number 4 spot that you start to experiment with a little bit. I don't love Daulton Varsho there. I kind of went over the stats. We've seen for some reason why it seems to matter for some of these guys where they hit in the order. So for me, I guess you move Alejandro Kirk up to 4. I don't love that either, but if you're going to switch something up, that's maybe something you do. Ernie Clement's been effective at the plate. Maybe not the greatest series up to date, but he's a guy that I'm confident can put the bat on the ball. Maybe you put Varsho 5, Ernie 6, throw Santander back in the lineup if he's available at 7. Barger hits 8, Barger hits 7. Again, there's no tried and true formula that I see this is for sure going to work for the Toronto Blue Jays. I just think we're at the point where you saw how bad it went in the first 2 games of the series, and you're going to Seattle, a little bit more obviously of a hostile environment than you would have at the Rogers Center. So at this point, you just got to switch something up. I wouldn't mind if you decide to take Addison Barger out of that 4 spot because he hasn't looked good in this series whatsoever. And even in the Yankee series, I think he went 3 for 4 in that 4th game, but 2 of them were infield hits, not really hard hit balls. So I think Addison Barger for me would also be the key. You got to switch something up there. Could be Varsho, could be Kirk, could be other than that, who do you really go to? So I think it's one of those 2 guys. For me, it doesn't really matter who it is, but you got to switch something up.
Dal, I'm going to post this to you because, we could go over lineups, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be who goes out there and performs that day. That's what it's going to come down to. And can these guys step up in a big moment? Dal, we'll end this part of it here. We got to still talk about the managerial decisions that have been made. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, as well as this Trey Savage stuff. And honestly, just get your guys' full-on thoughts on what's going to happen game 3 and the rest of the series. We'll get into all that as we come up. But I wanted to move this into the bullpen because, it's sort of the same thing with the offense is which guy out of the bullpen right now, or how many guys are you seriously confident in? And Dal, I guess if you had to name a couple, or if there's anybody, are you overly confident in anybody in this bullpen right
now? Not really. I do like I like Fluharty even despite the game last night. I like Sir Anthony Dominguez, but I was texting you guys before, it's how many times are we going to put Louis Varland in that situation before we realize that it doesn't work? It's, what was it, three home runs the last 3 times he's been in that situation in the postseason. So it's just mind blowing. Why not go to a different guy in that spot? But literally, maybe there's 2 guys that I trust. We haven't seen much of Jeff Hoffman, so I can't even put him into that conversation. So it's just tough. Yariel didn't look good last night either. So
it's depressing answer, but I completely agree with you. It's you go down the list. It's are you trusting Jeff Hoffman? You trusting Brendan Little, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Yariel Rodriguez, Louis Varland? We've seen all of these guys blow up in different scenarios. For sure, there's guys I trust more than others. Like, I think Jeff Hoffman's maybe a little bit more less likely to blow up right now than a guy like Brayden Little is. But it's tough to say because Jeff Hoffman hasn't been in a scenario where he's had to pitch because the games really haven't been that close. I guess the first game was you just really get the offense. But in terms for me, like the guys that I'm trusting right now, Louis Varland is a guy that I don't want going in with runners on whatsoever. Don't know why they're still doing that. We're going to give Louis Varland an inning, make it a clean inning, let him kind of work himself in and out of trouble. Again, you've seen it a lot of times now. It hasn't really worked. Louis Varland's going to throw a fastball down the middle. It's going to happen. And yes, he can get away with it because he throws a 100, 101. But you have good hitters. You have guys sitting on that fastball. Again, you're in the ALCS. You're going to be playing good baseball teams. The Mariners are a good baseball team. They're going to do damage on those pitches. So for me, like I'm still trusting Seranthony Dominguez. We did see the walk problem that he had. We kind of know that's an issue. So if it isn't going to go well for Dominguez, that's how he's going to get blown up. You're in a position where you have to trust Jeff Hoffman. I'm not sure if you want to trust Jeff Hoffman, but you have to trust him. He's your closer. You look at some other guys in this bullpen right now, not really giving you a lot of faith. And yeah, for me, like Brayden was talking a lot about Brayden Little, is what I was trying to say, and how he didn't trust him. We're kind of seeing that a little bit. We're seeing a lot of the inconsistencies that Brayden Little has really showed this entire season. So I didn't think Fluharty would look this good in the playoffs. I think I trust Fluharty more than I trust Brayden Little right now, which is something I didn't think I would admit to myself. So I'll throw Fluharty in there as well, but I can see how it can go bad for Fluharty. I can see how it can go bad for Dominguez. I can see how it can go bad for Jeff Hoffman. So unfortunately, there isn't like that one guy that we're going to throw out there. And I'm like, I am fully certain this guy's going to give us a 0 in this inning. You just kind of have to go with the guys that have gotten you here and hope that they can work out for you. And that's not exactly the way and the sentiment that I want to be saying as we go into a game 3 in Seattle.
It is. You guys all touched on great points there. Dal, the Varland point, I think you knocked out of the park, which is something I guess Varland knows quite a bit about. The fact that, yeah, it's the same decisions being made over and over and over again, right? By John Schneider, by this team. It's putting guys in spots. Sorry, Carter.
I want to jump in. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but like this is what has gotten us here. Like exactly what is happening is the reason why we're here. It just isn't really working right now. So that's why it's like tough for me to make this big drastic change, is because there really isn't that change. These guys just have to play better. Like it's like you're gonna have to rely on Louis Varland. You're gonna have to rely on Jeff Hoffman. Vladdy's gonna have to get a big hit. Kirk, Varsho, throughout the middle of this order, they're going to have to show up. So that's like you can't throw Miles Straw in there all of a sudden. You can't go, oh, Tommy Nance is on the roster. Somehow if you could get him here. Like, again, you have the guys, you pick these guys. They have gotten you here. You can't make these drastic changes from what has gotten the Blue Jays to the first place team in the American League. I know it's the playoffs and you got to make, some tight decisions and some tough calls. But I don't think you make this, crazy move now when everything that you've done and every move that you've made have gotten the Toronto Blue Jays to this point.
Well, and Carter, whenever this season ends, whether it's with a championship or without one, me and you're going to look back and have to have the conversation of, realistically, were the Blue Jays one of the best top 4 teams in the MLB? And we're going to have to be honest with ourselves. And I think the biggest problem for me right now of having to make a call on that is there are holes. And sometimes this Blue Jays team can cover them up and pretend they're not there. But I think us watching 162 baseball games, we're well aware. And talking about the Brayden Little, I've seen it too often. The Varland giving up home runs, this entire pitching staff giving up home runs. I've seen it already. I've seen it before. What's going to make me believe that's not going to happen again? Vladdy going cold against a team that's not the New York Yankees. Oh, that's not why am I surprised at this? And I'm trying to be positive because this team isn't out of it yet, right? They're still here. They're still battling, and hopefully they can keep pushing. But it's going to have to be a conversation when this is all said and done that we actually look back and have to have a discussion on. And Dal brought up the conversation on why putting Louis Varland in these situations. So I think let's come back. Let's talk a little bit about John Schneider. We have heard from a lot of you guys that have been listening, whether it's, Trey Savage, whether it's Kevin Gausman. Is it the right move? Isn't it the right move? It's been like a 50-50 split in our comment section. So me and Carter have given our opinion. We'll sort of back those up again. But I want to hear what Dal has to say on this as well, and just the situations at hand. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with all that. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. You guys know how much I love Game Time. I wouldn't get my tickets anywhere else. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live, the energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting those tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. I'm not going to lie. Sitting for tickets in a queue makes me the most mad I've ever been, because it says like, oh, you're 50 away. You're 40 away. And then you get in and then you get booted, or the system lags and you get booted. That's why I use Game Time. The app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay, which is, again, a great feature. Make sure you guys go and download Game Time if you haven't already. I would assume all you guys have Game Time, but if you don't, make sure you get on it. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. So, boys, as we continue on, again, me and Carter, we've shared our thoughts and feelings. A lot of you guys in the comments are saying that you completely disagree, that they should have left the starters in, test the waters. And there was one comment that I wanted to talk about here, and then I'll get Dal's opinion on this. Somebody said, it's a young pitcher. You know what the bullpen is going to give you. Why not let this 22-year-old kid go out there and prove what he can do? And I get where you're saying. And me and Carter, we back John Schneider a little bit. And I think in what this commenter said is exactly why I don't necessarily blame John Schneider for the move he made. This kid it's his second postseason appearance. And yes, he was amazing in his first game. But do you believe in him or the guys that have been in this league and around this squad the entire season to go in there and get the job done? Trey Savage didn't look fantastic. His pitches did not look unbelievable and unstoppable like it did against the Yankees. It wasn't his best day. He admitted that. So if a guy is not having his best day, would you rather take him or the possibility of another guy that could possibly have their best day? I don't know. And again, it's up to each of you to decide. Me and Carter can sit here and tell you that we agree with John Schneider a little bit, or maybe not agree, but understand. But you guys are allowed to have your opinions too, and that's why we love this and love doing this. And that's why we also wanted to get Dal's opinion. Dal, on pulling Kevin Gausman, pulling Trey Savage, using
even going back to Shane Bieber, like just the entire playoffs, like even his bullpen arms, like go over like every, like just in totality, like do you trust John Schneider and has he made the right decisions throughout the postseason?
Yeah, like you think about it, and you guys have talked about it. It's so hard to be a manager because people are never going to be satisfied with what you're doing. Yeah. But my thought process around it, like I'll start with the Kevin Gausman. I think he retired like 16 straight batters before he gave up the home run and the walk, and he was at, what was it, like 70-something pitches, 76, maybe?
I think they took him out.
It's like you got a guy out there, like a veteran. He's your ace. So what? He gives up a bomb. So what? He gives up a walk. The first like sense of panic, John Schneider is hitting the button. You just saw this guy retire 16 straight batters. Let him get out of the inning. Maybe save that leverage arm or something for the next inning to start it clean. I understand why he made the move, but sometimes you just got to ride with your dogs, honestly. Like, just let them get through it themselves. They're going to get through it. I'm a firm believer that Gausman would have got through that inning. You go to Savage yesterday, he had a tough first inning, of course, but then I feel like he settled in a bit. Obviously, you saw the velocity on the fastball was down, and that is concerning. But, I mean, what was he, 60 pitches? Just let the guy battle it out. Let him finish the inning. I mean, it is playoffs. It's high stake, but you at some point too, you have to believe in your guys. That's why you're putting them out there. So let them do their job. And then going back to the Bieber part, that was very premature to pull him. And like I just said, it's high pressure in the playoffs, and you have no room for error. But these are guys that have been there a while. Well, not you, Savage, but been there a while. They know how to work out of situations like that. And plus you're saving other arms for different situations. You don't have to prematurely use them. So, I mean, I understand where John Schneider's coming from in some situations, but it's so frustrating to watch when guys like that are showing that they're playing good at that night.
Yeah, and Dal, you brought up a good point, right? It's the veterans. It's trusting your guys. And I'm more okay with way more okay with going with a guy like Shane Bieber, Kevin Gausman, leaving them in. I would have been happy to see them continue to try to push, to try to get through it. I'm good with that. I think the Trey Savage move was the right move. I think getting him out of there was right. I would 100% be okay with the argument of Gausman and Bieber, though. I'm there for that. But I think the Trey Savage one is the one that sticks out to me. Like, I agree with that. I'll give people the Kevin Gausman one in the comments. I can understand that. And I get where everybody's feeling. That's sort of how I was too. But to me, the Trey Savage one sticks out. Like, this kid is young. He hasn't been here before. The fastball was dropping off the face of the earth. Everything wasn't being located well. I think that was the right play. It didn't go well, obviously. And, I saw this other comment, Carter, that I don't know if you saw, but I'll throw it to you right now, is the fact of if this team, we talked about hindsight, right? And hindsight being 2020. And the comment was, I wouldn't have went back and been okay with it if they left Trey in there and he got absolutely shelled again. It's like, you're lying to yourself. I think the people are lying to themselves. If you don't think that, then you're just not paying attention, because all season long we've gotten comments, this was the wrong move, this was the wrong move, this was the wrong move. And for a lot of them, I can understand. And I'm usually on board with those people too. But this Trey Savage one, I don't think that. I think that you would have said, why didn't we go to the bullpen there? And I guess that's not much on the comment, because this is everybody. I mean, it's all over Blue Jays land right now. But Carter, where do you stand? Like, do you think hindsight is 2020 and we could always look back? Or do you believe that people, that these people are making the right calls and would have wrote it out with whatever, or with the decision to keep them in? Or do you think they would have flip-flopped?
Well, hindsight's definitely 2020. It's a lot easier to make the decisions based off, like, we know what happened, based off John Schneider being in that moment and having no idea what's going on. I think with, like, having the quick hook with starting pitchers, again, there's no tried and true formula. Like, there's not this exact thing that you have to do with every single pitcher that's going to work. It's very situational based. So you guys, we have three kind of scenarios here where it happened with Kevin Gausman, Shane Bieber, and just Savage. Whereas we're all kind of on different fronts here, which is pretty interesting to me. I'm completely on the side of pulling Trey Savage. There's so many different things in that outing. The splitter just didn't look as good. Like, the whiffs he was getting just weren't really there. The velocity's going down his fastball. Like, there's so many different things. A young guy, confidence still there. You don't want that to go away. So many different things with Trey Savage that everything for me points to taking Trey Savage out of that baseball game. When you go to Kevin Gausman game one, don't know why John Schneider's taking him out there. He's a veteran. Again, like Dal said, he was cruising. Does give up. It's a bad pitch to Cal Raleigh. It's a splitter low in the zone, catches the law in the middle of the plate. I'm okay with going Kevin Gausman there. He's still kind of rolling through this lineup. He's a veteran. He's your ace. He's the guy that you're rolling out for game one for a reason. There wasn't any sort of reason for me, like, underlying, whether it's statistics, analytics that this team clearly loves, or the eye test, whatever you want to say, not enough there for me to take Kevin Gausman out. You guys think it was the right call to take Shane Bieber out? I disagree. I think it was the right call to take Shane Bieber out. You guys said you should have left him in.
No, sorry. I'm just going to stop. I was wrong, because I went in there after that game and said that it was the right call. So I'll backtrack a little bit. I was on the side of taking him out there as well.
See, I think you completely take him out of there as well. Like, this is his stat line that Shane Bieber had in that game. 2 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 Ks, 1 walk, had 54 pitches. Shane Bieber was getting hit hard that entire baseball game. Like, even the outs that he was getting, he was getting smoked. Like, the slider was not good. The velocity on his fastball was kind of league average, but the Yankees were seeing it very well. There's a lot for me in that start, even though he was only at 54 pitches. And yes, he is a veteran, but there was so much in that start specifically that, like, the Yankees had something on him. It almost looked like, I'm not going to say like they had, like, they were stealing signs or whatever, but it looked like they were seeing the ball very well. And it looked like it was a ticking time bomb. So I think that, like I said, it's very situational. You got to just look at how your pitcher's pitching. Shane Bieber's giving up the hard contact. He's not getting the swing and miss. Kevin Gausman is getting that swing and miss. He's not giving up the hard contact. Yes, there was that one pitch that, yes, you would want back. But with Kevin Gausman, not a lot of signs for me are enough to take him out. With Shane Bieber, with Trey Savage, there are some underlying reasons that I can clearly see that was, for me, a good decision to take both those guys out in those situations. But with Kevin Gausman, it's like, are you going to trust Kevin Gausman? Just had a bad pitch to Cal Raleigh. I get it. Walks a guy. Are you trusting Kevin Gausman, or are you going to trust Brendan Little, who you went to in that game? So that's why another thing. If you're going to take out Kevin Gausman, why in the world are you going to Brendan Little, which you have no idea what he is going to give you? And that's another thing with Trey Savage and Shane Bieber, is that you know that the Yankees and the Mariners, in the Trey Savage instance, they're seeing him well. Clearly, they are, like, Trey Savage doesn't have his best stuff, and they're seeing him well. At least you go to the bullpen, you don't know what you're going to get. With Kevin Gausman, you know what is right in front of you. You don't know what Brendan Little's going to get. He might be in the strike zone. There's a pretty good chance he's not going to be in the strike zone. So again, very situationally based for all of these instances.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Sorry, I had to walk that Shane Bieber one back because I said that was the right call at the time. So
I still like it. And people might disagree with that, but I like that one. The Kevin Gausman one, I'll completely give you guys. No idea in game one. I think you got to roll him.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. And you know what, Dal, I guess I'll pitch this to you. Is we sit here for the past 2 episodes, and probably more than that, and we analyze everything that John Schneider does. At the end of the day, we got another comment that's like, you got to trust in your guys. You came all this way trusting in the process, trusting John Schneider's decisions, who won you 94 baseball games and the AL. You get to this point, why go away from that? Or why would you believe to go into this and not trust your guys? And I guess that goes to both scenarios. Is it pulling your guy too early and not trusting him? Or is it not trusting the bullpen? So I don't know, Dal. With John Schneider, like, there are people that are saying, like, I want this guy's job. Is that where you're at here? Or is it more so the team is just not performing where they need to be?
No, I don't think there's any reason to get rid of John Schneider. Like the hitting front, that's not his fault. He rolls out a lineup. It's just guys not putting the bat to the baseball. What I think he can do, though, is, like you said, not big changes, but slight changes to the lineup. You need some sort of spark somewhere, because clearly what you've been doing isn't working. And it's not like the regular season where you have time to work through it. It's a playoff series. You only get 4 losses in this series. You have to make a change now, something to generate a spark. I want to comment quickly. I just had a thought on Trey Savage. I think that missed strike 3 call changed the whole game for him.
In the first inning there?
Yeah, that was first inning.
Yeah, I think because he's a guy that rides, the emotion of the crowd and stuff like that. I think he gets amped up after a strikeout like that. But then we go to the pitching front, and, that's where it gets tough. I mean, I think he's made a few skeptical calls, like we've just talked about, premature pulling and stuff like that. So I don't think we should get rid of John Schneider. I loved his speech after they won the ALDS.
Electric.
He's a motivator. I think he makes good decisions, but there's also some bad decisions. And that's every manager. But like you said, he led us to ALCS berth and a division title. So there's nothing wrong with what he's doing, mostly, except for when it comes to the pitching, in my opinion, at some scenarios.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And you brought up Trey, so I want to get into this. Just quickly before we take the break here and tee up game 3, obviously.
I got one more thing to end it. So yeah, get into your thing, and I got one last thing.
Yeah, so there were some threats, death threats, physical attack threats online.
Did you end up getting the quote for that?
Yeah, I got them all here.
Perfect.
And so I'll get into it, just a couple of them. I won't go crazy, because I mean there was a lot of quotes here that Trey Savage sort of wanted to say, but this is pretty much it. Living in this world where there's so many differing opinions and feelings which result in a lot of hate, it's sad to see that people close to me are being attacked for my performance on the field. These people have done nothing to warrant negativity for my actions, whether that's my parents, my brother, my girlfriend, family. It's just really sad. And I think the thing that's frustrating here is, Carter, we've said this nonstop, is, and when we get too high or too low on a game, I always try to think back to this is a kid's game, right? It's a kid's game that we all grew up loving and playing. And for there to be threats made by, again, I don't want to assume, but, it was coming after the Yankees outing, that it's Yankee fans to be saying, and I'm not lumping all Yankees fans in together. Listen, I don't like the Yankees through and through, but there are good people that are still Yankees fans. I mean, one of our good buddies is a Yankees fan, as much as I hate to say that. It's not all of them, but it's these scumbag people that are out there doing this stuff that can say whatever they want behind, their phone. Like, what are we doing here, right? Like, it's just ridiculous. I'm on here saying everything on camera, and to go and make threats to anybody is just, it's sickening. This completely, obviously, you have completely lost the plot. This isn't a kid's game to you. You think that your life will end if your team doesn't win. This is just disgusting stuff.
See, and like again, I'm not one to group all of a fan base in as well, but there has been a few times throughout history where like this isn't the first time this has happened with the Yankees fans. So again, it's not everybody, but there are definitely some bad apples in Yankees land. That again, like Trey Savage is going out and saying this for no reason, right? Like he's not going to make this a big media story if it isn't actually happening. Like you look at Juan Soto, like he has not had a lot of fond memories being with the New York Yankees. Miles Straw, who's on the Toronto Blue Jays when he played for the Guardians, he said he had a quote, said class is one of the worst fan bases on the planet, and that's when Yankees fans were throwing garbage at the Cleveland Guardians outfielders. So you look at Aaron Hicks, he got booed out of that stadium. That was more so for a play thing. But again, there's a bunch of different scenarios where the Yankees fans aren't necessarily shed in the greatest amount of light. So, I mean, I guess the way I'll say this, just don't threaten people because of what they're doing on a baseball field. Didn't think I'd have to say that, but like you're making it into more of a way bigger thing. And this is at the end of the day, this is a game that they are playing. It should not be affecting people's livelihoods. This shouldn't make people scared to, leave their house or go to a baseball game. People should not be afraid of their safety in any scenario whatsoever. So absolutely ridiculous behavior, whether it's Yankees fans, whether it's any fans, if like Blue Jays fans are doing that to Mariners, like if they're going out and going to Logan Gilbert or Andres Munoz and commenting on his things, just unfollow podcasts. Like we don't want those type of people following along with what we do. But I did have another thing, but I think I'm going to save that now because it doesn't really fit in to what we're doing here. And it's a bigger offseason topic as well. So we're going to dive into the Game 3 preview. Shane Bieber on the mound. A lot of trust in our veteran guy. Can he bounce back from what he did in the Yankee series? We will preview that all right here on Locked On Blue Jays.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season's here. Another Jays game is here. There's lots to bet on, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Dallon Wilton, I think, is trying to somehow put down $5 and win about $1,000. He was telling me about some of his bets that he's been placing. He's usually pretty good, but we'll have to see what he's got cooking up for the Jays Mariners Game 3 here. And if you haven't already, make sure you do get those bonus bets. I mean, it is a killer deal. I always talk about it. What somebody put in for the 150 they got at the time, and my brother got in at the 200. So make sure you guys get it. It's $300 in bonus bets right now. That is unbeatable. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. So, boys, let's tee it up. I want Carter. I'll let you go over sort of the pitching matchup for Game 3. But then let's get. I want just a bigger prediction here, Dal. You don't. You're not on here every single day, so we'll get your whole series. How do you think that this plays out? Honest to God, and this game specifically, Game 3. But Carter, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, so the Toronto Blue Jays going to have Shane Bieber rolling out at T-Mobile Park, and then the Seattle Mariners going to have George Kirby, who had some pretty effective outings in that Detroit Tiger series. As for bullpen arms, the Toronto Blue Jays should have pretty much everybody available. The Seattle Mariners, at this point, if we were going to, have that like last little thing where we had this advantage with the Seattle Mariners pitchers not being fully rested, at this point, they're fully rested. So the advantage has gone to the wayside. Clearly, it has not made too much of a difference for the Toronto Blue Jays because we find ourselves down 2-0 going back to Seattle. So, Dal, I'll throw it over to you. What are you looking for from Shane Bieber and just overall? Like, what are your predictions for Game 3? Do you have any faith in this Toronto Blue Jays team to bounce back?
Yeah. Predictions for Shane, or what we need from Shane Bieber, just a quality 5 innings, honestly. That's all you need from him. Maybe 1 or 2 runs. I think this day off for the Blue Jays will be good, kind of reset everything. Yeah. If we're going to win a game, I think it's going to be this one. And then after that, I'm not too sure. I think Mariners win 4-1, sadly. But the first 2 games, at least the first one was one we needed to have. And being in this hole now, it's not looking too good.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people in our comments that are calling for a Mariners sweep. There are others saying that it's going to be the biggest Jays comeback of all time, and they're going to come back and sweep it in reverse. I'm sort of in the middle. I honestly don't want to make a prediction. I want this team to be successful, however that may come. Game 4 is going to be hard. We'll tee that up as we go. But Dal, I 100% agree with you on what we need from Shane Bieber. It's just a quality outing. That's it. Give it to the bullpen. Hopefully when it's not, the second inning and he's given up 1 run with 2 hits. Hopefully it's, he's getting to the end of his line. But we'll have to wait and see. Carter, anything from you?
Yeah, might sound redundant, but we need Shane Bieber to be effective, believe it or not. We need Shane Bieber to go out there and not blow the game in the first 4 innings, especially with this bullpen, with the uncertainty there. I think a lot of Toronto Blue Jays fans are going to be very reliant on Shane Bieber and what he can do for this baseball team. Like I said, if you lose game 3, you might as well throw the towel in. The way Dal started that off, I think, he's pretty close to throwing that towel in already. Again, it's a tough stretch ahead. It's tough sledding ahead. I wanted to correct myself for a stat that I put on the last podcast. I can't remember who it was, but he called me out for it, and I just misspoke on it. It's for home teams. If the home team loses first in a 7-game series, that's when they have the 11% chance of coming back. So still applies to the Toronto Blue Jays, obviously. So 11%, not great. That's not exactly ideal. You're not bringing that report card home to the parents and being confident about that one. So
I never had that luxury. Never brought those home. Just threw them away. Get them and throw it away.
Yeah, those are the ones that stay at the school. They never leave the lunchroom garbage can. That's where their home is. But yeah, you need the Shane Bieber. He's gonna have to keep you in the game. If you get down early, I think it's one of those, especially at T-Mobile, it's very easy for the game to get away from you. So yeah, a lot of it's going to rely on Shane Bieber, obviously. And if we haven't really talked about it, but the offense, you're going to need runs in this baseball game. It doesn't really matter how the pitching is going to go if you only have 1 hit after the 3rd inning in the first 2 games. You continue to do that, you're not going to win this baseball game. So it's been stuff that we've been seeing all year. We need the Blue Jays to return to what they've been doing this entire season. We need the offense. We need Vladdy to get a hit. Let's start there. Let's get 1. And then continue to move down the order. We need the bullpen to be better. We need, let's not throw the ball down the middle, ideally. I think, again, a lot of the momentum falls with the Toronto Blue Jays right now if you can start early. So if you score early and you have Shane Bieber be effective, for sure the first 2 innings, at least, I want him to go 4 or 5, but you cannot let the Seattle Mariners offense score in the first 2 innings.
Dal, as always, thanks for popping on with us. Always appreciate getting your insight and input on this. Everybody, for the comments, the likes, the subscriptions. Again, subscribing's free, so you might as well hit the button. Thank you guys so much. We've gotten some great texts, some great messages. Now we just got to sit here, hands and knees, praying to the baseball god that the Toronto Blue Jays can do almost the impossible.
Here, one more thing, Brayden. We both didn't answer the question. Do the Blue Jays get the win game 3?
Yes.
I'm going to go on board as well. I'm going to say yes. I'll say what Dal said. If the Toronto Blue Jays get a win, it's going to be this one. Hopefully they get more than 1. Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you guys again tomorrow.